fix it later. Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to talk about operational excellence. We are actually doing a series with Spark here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, it's actually a 4-part series on all the components, or the introduction to some of the components and why it's great and why it's good for any company. And we're going to dive into just a little bit to get you all excited about it and call us and ask for more. For those of you who don't know Julie or myself, we co-founded Joint Pivot. Gosh, we're coming up on 2 years this fall, so fall of 2019. We both have extensive experience with manufacturing, operations, supply chain, HR, every single thing you see on that logo in front of you, which also serves to be a foundation of operational excellence. So that's why this is even more exciting. And we love to solve problems. We love to take our unique backgrounds and craft a solution that's going to work for companies where they're at, meeting them at their maturity, their experience level, and their problem. And we would love to help them grow, to stabilize, create that solid foundation so they can get better, they can build, or we can help them build sustainable solutions. How do we do this? We can perform our services for companies, we can work alongside them, we can teach and level up skill sets for individuals in the organization. And we also love to speak. We love to, I know, partner with people that have similar backgrounds and actually work with people who don't, so we can fill our gaps, right, and continue to grow and learn, and obviously create new friendships and enhance our network out there. And so today we are going to create some awareness around operational excellence. This is a large topic that we certainly aren't going to cover in 30 minutes. And we're going to give a suggestion of where to start. There are many different places of where to start, but Julie and I both love a good process, and we both love it when it's documented. And we actually just did an activity last week together that we're going to draw upon to show us this is a fantastic way to start. Where do we need to work? What do we need to do next? And this is a great way that anyone can do to figure out where do we begin our journey, both for talent, measurement, strategy, stabilization, repeatability. And we'd love for you to leave today like, oh, I could do this, right? And be excited about at least taking one thing that you heard today and applying it when you leave. So what is operational excellence? I know I finally got to write on LinkedIn yesterday that we just operate excellently, right?
You've been waiting for that.
I really have. It sounds easy, and it's not as easy as it sounds. It means that you've got some key things in place when you are ready to operate excellently, but it means you have the talent, right? You've defined what it means to be awesome and great. You have the measurements in place, and when you look at this, people, process, systems, and strategy, you're starting to build upon all of those components. And Julie, I was thinking we almost need a little puzzle piece in the center as well between process and strategy, because those are also linked, for people who might not pick up on that.
Oh, there you go.
But anywho, this is truly the foundation of it. We all know that we need process, we need people, systems, and strategies to continue to move forward. And some of the definitions that I like around operational excellence is that the effort and actions that a company puts in place through standardized processes to drive its conviction to deliver towards the customer the requested product or service at a requested moment at the lowest production effort, cost, and price that the customer is willing to pay for it. And what I love to pull out of here is that there's elements of lean, which lean has a strong influence on operational excellence. There's just in time, right time, right place, right quantity. But there's also elements of cost, quality, and speed that we have to think about when you're operating our companies. There's items about the customer, right? If we don't listen to the customer, someone else will, and we'll never meet their expectations. But then also the buy-in, the conviction by employees to want to work hard, to be excited, to be on boards, to really give and contribute to the bottom line. There's a combination of soft skills, hard skills, processes, things that you can and cannot see that are all elements of operational excellence. And you're going to hear probably the word foundation a bunch, because this is what, when you have a strong foundation, just like, a house that you're building upon, you can do more, better, faster. It's also a strong component of building values into how you do everything, again, which falls into your operational excellence model. And then the last line here is it enables leadership to build their values, as mentioned, into the way the company operates, how it measures performance, instills ownership, accountability, and demonstrates commitment to the vision. And so this just kind of sums it all up that we need our people to be on board. We've defined the roadmap. Here are all the components that we're going to use to get there. And there you have it. Again, we're just scratching the surface on it.
There you go. And fun fact, my last two positions I've had, minus the last one, have been Director of Operational Excellence and Continuous Improvement. And it's always, we've been working on this for, gosh, I think that was 2006, the first time I had that title, really making sure we were bringing together all of these skill sets because we weren't big enough to just have a PMO or just have a lean team or just having a strategy team. So we had to figure out a way to make it all work together.
Absolutely. And what you just said, Julie, is so, the first 10 years of my career, right, was a lot of project management, but then having the ability to go work in HR, support lean rollouts and deployments, and help leaders develop and then be a part of strategic planning, help tie it all together. And so obviously when I met Julie and joined her at our last place, it was like everything we've always wanted to do. And now with Joint Pivot, we get to package up and do it all the time. But it was, for both of us, it was that 20 years collected activity to give us that skill set to really have that holistic look at everything, which is more reasons of why we love it. It plays into culture, right, which we know is super key to performance for businesses. It is, as mentioned, a holistic approach that engages all employees, any function, right? And I know coming from manufacturing or operations companies, you think, oh, it's just manufacturing that makes the money. Other organizations, oh, it's salespeople. Without sales, we have nothing. No, it's everyone, everything from administration to HR to legal to maintenance. And we don't want to forget about that. We want to make sure everyone is there for a reason. We also define why we need these roles, and we're going to touch on that in a little bit. And then the last one is that it's this whole systematic approach, right? There's inputs, outputs, cross-functional activity, understanding how your output and your function impacts the next person, not just the end customer, but the next person. And having that whole visual is so key to make sure that anything is successful. And I feel like sometimes there's that myopic view that we only look at ourselves or our team. We forget to see the inputs coming into us and what leaves us. And if we don't ask those questions or visualize it, I don't know how we can fully deliver in an efficient way, effectively to the customer. And then this slide here, and we pulled this from our Spark activity because we want to demonstrate that operational excellence is for any company, any size, any part of their journey, even starting with just an idea, right? It might be you and another co-founder creating something. This plays into your journey. Parts of it might not be applicable right now, but it's good to plant those seeds so you can start to build in some efficiencies. Think about what you're going to do next, so it's not just shooting from the hip every single day. Same thing, large companies. I've worked places, and I know Julie has too. They shop from the hip every day, right? We want to have that long range view of how we're doing things, why we need our people there, because we've defined the expectations and roles and skill sets of why we need them. And the other great thing about operational excellence is that you don't have to do all of it. I know we had those 4 people, process, strategy, and systems. You don't have to do all of that well in the beginning, right? You can pick one thing and focus on it and improve. You can, pause there, keep that going, and then go and focus on another initiative. You don't have to do all of it amazingly from the beginning. So that's the other cool thing about this. And this is just for everyone on the phone to kind of just stop and check yourself, right? Ask yourself these questions for both you, but also the organization that you're with. And we have experienced all of these, right, Julie?
Oh, every single one of them.
And we obviously want to help businesses overcome these and build in a different mindset. What sticks out at you, Julie, that's holding companies back from getting to the next level, becoming an employer of choice, getting people excited?
Absolutely. My favorite one, or least favorite one on this list, is you make assumptions that people get it and are operating in the same manner. And that was a tough lesson for me to learn because I automatically think people
Mhm.
process systems. Like it was just born that way. And I assume just
Right.
everybody else understands it and thinks like, oh yeah, they'll want to fix that, or they understand, they get why this is an issue. And making that assumption is just not a great thing because not everybody thinks this way. And that's
No.
probably a good thing.
Fair point. Fair point. Yeah. And which means, and I fall into the same rut. I need to ask more questions. Tell me how'd you get here?
Hmm.
How do we together get there? Yes, it's frustrating, right? And we take for granted, we bring history and experiences to the companies that we're at when we
Hmm.
really need to level set on where they're at. Other things that hold companies back from taking it to the next level, right? Again, I've worked with many of these. You like silver bullets. I have a client right now that buys everything and sustains nothing, right? Because they think that the software or the solution that they're purchasing is going to solve their problems. I am going to help them hopefully solve some of these problems, but it's going to be reinforcement always. I have a
Yeah.
reminder every Thursday to email them because there are no silver bullets, right? It takes reinforcement, action, ownership, and everything to keep things going. Changing course at every bump. It's not fun, right? You need to stick the course, and sometimes it's hard because it seems risky, or you might not like the results in the short term. But again, that's why you have a methodical approach. And obviously, Julie, you can definitely you've helped me see the light with change management, right?
Hmm.
And how to embed that in organizations, not just from an implementation aspect, but just to how we do business, how we communicate to people, how we lead and ensure that we're always thinking of our internal customer, giving them what they need, right? The knowledge and the ability, and then the ongoing reinforcement. And then the ongoing monitoring it, right? You always remind me, where are they falling in this change management continuum? Did
Hmm.
they fall back to desire? Do they need more desire? And so that's key when you're, especially when you're rolling out operational excellence or really any initiative, to be able to live that change management methodology. Be you're a good teacher. Um,
Why, thank you. It turns out
I,
maybe I was doing some change management on you. Who knows?
I'm drinking the lemonade constantly. And Julie, I love this next slide because there's a mix, right, of strategic and tactical components in everything we do. But what have you experienced with this recently in regards to this strategy versus tactical?
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny because I never realized how well this tied into the last slide of the checklist, where it was like,
Mhm.
assume people think the same way that you do and they understand why you're doing it. I used to do that with strategy versus tactical because I thought everybody understood what strategy was. But we're running into this situation where we have a lot of leaders who are new leaders in these situations who got to where they are by being tactical. And they really haven't had to stretch into being more strategy driven and then let go of the tactic to somebody else in those cases. They want
Mhm.
to do what they keep comfortable with. And I've just recently had a client who was used to being very, very tactical. In his organization, he got to be very, very tactical. Now he owns his own company. He has to be strategic. There's no
Mhm.
one else out there who's going to do this for him. So what I like to do is pull out this list and basically say, all right, take a look at each side. Where do you feel more comfortable? And then just be cognizant of that. If we're going to be doing strategic planning, realize it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. You might feel a little bit stretched in those cases. And if you're doing more tactical and your role is more strategic, then we have to take a look at how do we get you comfortable in the strategy side of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And this is why we love this slide because it helps with when companies start to think about deploying
Hmm.
some sort of operational excellence model, right? We want to let them know that this is a strategic direction that the company's going to go in.
Yeah.
How do we work with them to get them to hop on the journey, be ready for it, to your point, get uncomfortable,
Hmm.
knowing that they have to lead the organization. And there will always be elements of being tactical at any level of the
Yeah.
organization. But to really buy in and take the business to the next level, create a more stable foundation. And maybe it's not growth, maybe it's just efficiency, right?
Hmm.
Improving product, improving quality, which is fine too. We love elements of this. It's still a strategy that the company has to deploy and the leaders have to follow. And with strategic planning, we've talked a lot about this in the last year in a couple of our webinars, but again, this plays into when we understand where we're going for the next 3 to 5 and often 10 years, we're building in obviously strategy. How do our people play into this? What's our process? And what are the systems? And I'm going to refer you back to other webinars that we've done that get more into that. But I wanted to pull on this and show it that you have to visualize what that's going to be. And our strategic planning process helps you with those building blocks to do so. But really, I'm most excited to talk about processes because when we're trying to figure out where we want to go, how or where would we apply operational excellence? We're in today's world, we're going to start with processes. We need to visualize current state. If you don't know what a process is, it's a series of steps, right? Using resources or possibly systems to add value, to continue to build on elements of the business. Processes are often invisible and unnamed. We want to visualize them and we want to put names on them because then we can identify, are we measuring them? Are they working? Do we have the right people? Have we identified the skill set that's needed for this process, right? Multiple processes make up a whole system, right? It's so key for us to understand this and visualize it. When we identify processes, we visualize how everything's connected. It helps us training, onboarding, communication. Most recently from last week's activity, when we were on site with the client, we were talking about how they're going to be implementing a new ERP, right? And elements of that is documenting the current state and then documenting the future state. So the as is and the to be, they can help connect the dots for people. So many different ways we can visualize processes, but I'm going to show just 2 examples here. The one in the background I call the circus tent. This is something that I've done with, right? It kind of looks like a circus tent. This is one that I've done with a startup. It's a tech startup in the transportation world. And there was, I think, 6 to 8 people when I first started working with them. I needed to understand how things worked, right? They wanted to implement more standardization, more obviously get repeatable results. Something that he basically was like, Jen, figure out how to make this sustainable and repeatable so we can grow and we can grow quickly. And so the first thing I did was get in there and understand essentially what's the value proposition or value map of the organization. And at a basic level, there was administration, HR, business development, the carrier client lifecycle, their exchange process was all about invoicing, and then the technology aspect. And I interviewed everyone to understand, what are you doing for your business? What do you do every day? And they had never done this. And they're like, wow, number one, I didn't realize how many people are, how much is going on by so few people, right? They also, the lack of standards in it, right? And expectations, they weren't defined. At this point, it was just figure it out, right? Do whatever you think needs to be done. As you grow, we don't want it to be figured out. We want it to be defined. Also, where does one person's job end and another person's start, with another big visual for them. And so that helped them. And while this isn't, amazingly beautiful, it helped them understand, gosh, I'm going to need more people. One person can't do all of this. And then the second one was just that more the swim lane style with the large columns that are shaded a bit, is another way to visualize at a higher level processes and how they fall through or flow through an organization. And this one's specific to commercial gas and the sale of it. And when Julie was engaged in this, she's asking them questions. What are your high level processes? How do they move through? But it also gave them a chance to provide input. What's not working? What is working? Right. And so when you see the green and yellow circles, you can see the customer client's input into what's working, what's not. This helps define what we're going to work on next, right? Both with priorities and gaps in processes. The other cool thing I really like about both of these is that it helps us define the type of talent we need, right? When we start to understand the processes that we are performing, we can start to understand what skills do I need, what competencies am I expecting, but also what experience do I want to hire? And especially when you're a startup, but even a corporate customer or corporate, business, you might want to hire someone with 20 years of experience to come in and own the organization or own that function and run with it. On the other side, you might want to hire people who are order takers, right? Task doers, just get it done, give them a list and let them run. But visualizing it in different ways helps you get to those decisions, again, which starts to play into the people aspect of the operational excellence model. Again, there's so much overlap in that everything touches each other. This is a fantastic way to start visualizing it. The other thing to build on to processes is also your measurements, right? Both from a metrics, a KPI, high level indicator of what you're doing with your organization, but also at that process level. And we just have a quick check sheet here for people to ask themselves about the measurements of their processes. How do they know if things are working? Has it been defined? Is it repeatable? Is it a lagging or leading indicator? What should it be? What do we want it to be? And as companies grow and as things change and technology gets introduced and things become more complicated or possibly even easier, when is this measurement no longer needed? And I know we got into that when we talk about waste, right? That's a measuring, collecting data, measuring it and sending it to people is a waste if no one's using it, right? And so how do you build in that question? When is this information no longer needed because we're different now? And having that mindset is going to keep you nimble, and it's going to remove that, tactical work that's not fun to do, that doesn't add any value.
I may once have been guilty of putting a cartoon in the middle of a 12-page metrics report to see if anybody
Just
would
to
read
see.
it. Yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
22. I didn't know any better. I thought it was funny, but funny
Right.
enough, nobody saw it. So
Right. I love it. I get it. But understanding your numbers again plays into your strategy, how you're moving forward, what are you doing? And then the last slide, picking up on some of the things we just mentioned about talent. Talent is key, right? You cannot implement any bit of operational excellence without having some of the right people there, right? And understanding your strategy and how you approach talent is so key. Jack of all trades, risk takers, know-it-alls, go figure it out, people. People who've never seen this, but that they're a great, problem solver, right? We need to know and strategically put these people in places that they're going to be able to add value. And the how, it's time consuming. However, when done well, you're going to hire someone that's going to fit the need immediately. Your onboarding is going to be quicker. They can run faster. So it is very valuable to take that time up front to figure out the talent. But again, we start to figure out the talent when we visualize what our business actually does. So back to the process map, which is why we started there today. And so the big question to everyone is, are you ready to take action? Are you ready to have maybe another conversation about operational excellence, process visualization, anything in regards to taking businesses to the next level, increasing your foundation, increasing stabilization, making it a more enjoyable place for your employees, right? Knowing that they are excited to come in and work hard and deliver to the bottom line. These are just some questions we have for people who are debating what do they do next, right? They've been successful. However, it maybe wasn't fun. I know, Julie, I think you love the running, right?
yeah, yes,
You're
everyone's
running.
running around and everyone is running around and nobody's getting anything done.
Exactly. And so these are, take a screenshot, or these questions or these situations that happen at your work, and you're like, it's not fun. The other one is you figure it out day by day, right? That's not fun either. It'd be at least nice to have 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
3 to 6 months, depending on your company maturity and level of years in business or what you're
Right.
working on.
You're just never going to get ahead if you're tackling everything day by day.
Mm-hmm. And something that I know we've experienced recently, and we've experienced throughout our careers, is the frustration of you're leaving something on the table, right? You're making money, but you're leaving money, employees, you're leaving them out to dry, and or you're not taking advantage of what else is out there because the money's blinding you, and you're like, we're doing great. Julie and I are always going to come and say, but you could be doing so much
You could
more.
make more money. You could have
Exactly.
more
If that's
time.
your
For me, it's
driver.
time. Yeah, I'm like, you could be doing this,
Yes.
but you could make the same amount of money, but you could be there less.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And you empower your people to be more excited about it
Yeah.
as well. So they know they're obviously back to the conviction comment. And then the last one on here, which I really like, is that your people are great, but are they going to get you where you're going? Right. And
Mhm.
there's a couple questions in there. How do we level up their skill set? Define what they should be doing and help them, right? Is it additional training? Is it support? Is it bringing someone in to help them, get to the next level? Or are they the right fit for your organization, depending on where you are? And those are challenging decisions. But again, that plays into that visual that we shared earlier, the people, process, strategy, and systems is so key. We can't lose sight of all of that when we are operating our business. And so my question to everyone is, are you happy with the progress you're making? Are you frustrated? Are you tired of figuring it out day by day? Or things are great. You just want to make sure the next 5 to 10 years are going to be even better, right? How do you build that process in or build in that strategy? And we're going to fall back on our operational excellence, motives here.
Mhm.
So feel free to reach out. We obviously do free consultations. Happy to walk through what engagements could look like. We can do remote training, but gosh, we're on site now with many people, so we can come on board and facilitate anything that you may need, and take advantage of us as that third party partner to help challenge the organization, not get involved in the political um, atmosphere, and ask the challenging questions that sometimes individuals internal won't want to do. We also have various lean assessments and deployment recommendations if you do choose to, move forward with operational excellence or a lean component of that. And so, Julie, I am super excited for August. You are the guru of this, so I'm going to let you give us a quick
Very
spiel about
excited.
what's upcoming.
Yeah, so we're taking the month of July off from webinars because everyone's going to be on vacation. So, and Jen will too. So, and I'll be off for a couple days as well. So, we are going to pick back up on August 17th, and it's going to be a wonderful webinar. Actually, this is going to be a 45-minute one because I cannot cram this into 30 minutes. But
Good.
it is the magical power of open-ended questions. So, how do we use them to get more, whether it's process improvement, strategy, lean, project management? This is a really, really great webinar. I just delivered it in the past month and a half for the American Society of Qualities World Conference. I did it also for the American Change Management Professionals Organization as well. And we've gotten nothing but great feedback from it. So people were very excited. So we wanted to make sure we offered it to our base as well. So it's been really awesome to be able to give this one. So how do you use our challenging, powerful, probing, clarity
Mhm.
seeking, and thought provoking questions? How do we craft those? And I'll tell you what, it's really, really easy. So come join us to learn about it. It just requires a little bit of training on our end, and a good
Mhm.
partner. Actually, JP, my husband here, he helped me uh, catch me when I was using close-ended questions to help me train me into using more open-ended questions. So we'll talk about how you can find a partner who
Mhm.
can help you practice this.
Mhm.
Yeah, so sign up on our
Super
webpage.
excited. Yes, awesome.
Absolutely.
And we'll send out an email to everyone that joined us today and signed up,
Mhm.
to the recording, and also to the sign up for our August 17th. I'm super excited. This is
Yay.
um, a huge win for so many people,
Yeah,
in their development, leadership, just working together with other people, journey.
exactly, exactly. We'll be super excited. So hopefully you all will be there.
Mhm. Wonderful. Well, it is 1:30 on the dot, which is a modern miracle for me to
Miracle.
actually finish on time. So with that, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. You're going to get an email from me by tomorrow night with this recording, so feel free to shoot something back. Let us know what you like, what questions you have, or if there's another topic you'd love to see in the future. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful hot day, at least in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
There you go.
So thank you,
Sounds good.
Julie.
Thanks, everyone.